You were taught that being good would make people respect you. That lie is exactly why you're controlled. You think you're being patient. You think you're being humble. You think you're being the bigger person. But what people actually see is simpler, predictable, safe, easy to move. And the part that should scare you is this: you don't feel controlled while it's happening. You call it keeping the peace. You call it being mature. You call it not wanting drama. You're broadcasting that you can be used without consequences. If you've ever watched someone ignore your boundaries, take credit for your work, speak over you, disrespect you with a smile, and you stayed calm like that made you strong, this is for you. Because the game has rules. Not moral rules, survival rules. And the people who look nice while winning, they understand something you don't. This comes from Machiavelli's The Prince and modern psychology, not to make you cruel, but to make you untouchable. 5 mind games. Each one turns you into a strategic ghost present, but hard to read, hard to corner, hard to defeat. Listen carefully, this decides your future. Because once you see these rules, you can't go back to being innocent without becoming a target again. Type "I see the game now" in the comments if you already feel exposed. Mind game 1. Your predictability is the leash around your neck. You think being consistent makes you trustworthy. What it actually does is make you controllable. Machiavelli understood this long before your self-help books existed. People don't fear what they can predict. They manage it. They schedule it. They exploit it. Psychological truth. The human brain loves patterns. When someone knows your pattern, they know your weakness. They know what you tolerate. They know what makes you fold. They know how long they can ignore you before you finally react. And most people proudly announce their pattern like it's a virtue. I'm always there for people. I hate conflict. I forgive fast. I don't hold grudges. I'm loyal. You just handed them the manual. Real life example. Work. There's always one person who does the extra tasks because it needs to get done. They answer messages fast. They never say no. They clean up messes they didn't create. And then one day, they wonder why nobody respects them. Because you train people to expect obedience. Here's the trap nobody sees. Predictability feels like integrity. But in power games, predictability is submission. Strategic rule. Break your own pattern on purpose. Delay your response. Change your availability. Stop being instantly accessible like you're starving for approval. And this is where most people destroy themselves. They think unpredictability means being rude. It means being unprogrammable. Comment, I choose strategic strength if you're done being easy to read. Mind game 2. People don't react to your intentions. They react to your position. You believe if your heart is clean, you'll be understood. That's what children believe. Adults live under perception. Machiavelli's world was brutal, but honest. It's safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, because love is fragile and negotiable. Fear has structure. Fear has boundaries. Psychological truth. People don't evaluate your soul. They evaluate your social consequences. If you correct someone and you look powerful, you're confident. If you correct someone and you look weak, you're insecure. Same action, different perception. That should offend you. Real life example. Family. One relative makes a joke at your expense. You smile. Gathering. They do it again louder. You still smile because you don't want to seem sensitive. They're not joking. They're testing your status. And every time you swallow it, you approve it. Most people fail right here. They wait for proof that someone is disrespecting them. But disrespect doesn't come with paperwork. It comes with patterns. Strategic rule. Defend your position before you feel angry. Calm correction is dominance. Not an emotional reaction. Not shouting. Not explaining your pain. A clean line. A pause. Eye contact. Then you move on like the conversation is beneath you. Because the moment you start explaining your intention, didn't mean it like that. I was only trying to help. you've already lost the frame. Quotable law. People don't remember your intentions. They remember your position. Type position over intention. If you understand your reputation is a weapon. Mind game 3. Goodness without boundaries is not kindness. It's permission. You think you're kind, but you're actually afraid of being disliked. That's why you overgive. That's why you tolerate. That's why you understand disrespect. Machiavelli would call this knave weakness dressed up as virtue, because in every system, every tribe resources flow toward strength, and away from those who can be drained. Psychological truth. Humans don't accidentally take advantage of you. They test. They watch. They measure the cost of crossing you. If the cost is 0, the behavior becomes a habit. Real life example. Friendships. You're always the listener, always the fixer, always the one who gets it. They dump their chaos on you, then disappear when your life gets heavy, and you tell yourself, they're just going through a lot. No, they're going through you. Listen carefully, this decides your future. The more you tolerate, the less valuable you appear, because value includes rarity and standards. Here's the trap nobody sees. You think boundaries will make you lonely, but lack of boundaries attracts parasites, so you're never truly surrounded anyway. Strategic rule. Make your yes expensive and your no a clean. No long speeches, no guilt, no negotiation. A calm, can't do that, and silence. Quotable law. Kindness without boundaries is an invitation to be used. Comment, I don't negotiate my boundaries, if you want your life to stop feeling like a donation box. Mind game 4. Silence is not absence. It's pressure. You've been trained to think silence is awkward. So you fill it. You explain. You smile. You soften. That's why people outplay you, because they know you can't hold psychological tension. Machiavelli understood the power of restraint. The prince who reveals less becomes harder to predict, harder to trap, harder to manipulate. Psychological truth. Silence forces projection. When you say less, people fill the blanks with their own fears and assumptions. And that's where control appears. Real life example. Someone confronts you. They accuse you. They push you. If you rush to defend yourself, you're signaling they have authority over your emotional state. But if you pause, if you let the silence sit, they start doubting their own angle. Most people fail right here. They confuse silence with weakness. It's the opposite. Silence is a mirror that makes the other person stare at themselves. Strategic rule. When someone tries to corner you, slow everything down. Pause. Look at them like you're reading them. Answer with fewer words than they expect. And never rush to fix the vibe. The vibe is information. If it's tense, good. That means something real is happening. Quotable law. The person who can hold tension controls the room. Type, I control the pace. If you've been over-explaining your way into disrespect. Mind game 5. Become the strategic ghost, visible, but impossible to grasp. This one is the most dangerous because it changes how people feel around you. You don't need to dominate loudly. You need to become costly to misread. Machiavelli's core idea wasn't cruelty. It was control. Control over perception. Control over access. Control over consequence. Psychological truth. The strongest people are not the most aggressive. They're the least emotionally available to manipulation. They don't chase closure. They don't beg for clarity. They don't argue to be understood. They make other people do the emotional labor. Real life example. Workplace politics. Nobody admits. Someone subtly challenges you in a meeting. Most people either laugh it off, submission, or snap, loss of control. The strategic ghost does something else. They keep their tone flat. They ask one clean question that exposes the motive. Are you trying to clarify the idea, or challenge my role here? Then silence. Now the room sees the power dynamic. Now, the attacker has to defend themselves. Here's the trap nobody sees. People think power is about winning the argument. Power is controlling the frame. The argument happens inside. Strategic rule. Never fight on the battlefield someone else chose. Change the frame. Change the pace. Change the cost. Quotable law. If you're easy to understand, you're easy to control. Comment, I've become hard to grasp. If you're ready to stop being socially edible, now you understand the game. Predictability made you manageable, but perception decided your value. Goodness without boundaries made you harvestable. Silence became pressure, and the strategic ghost became the final form present, calm, ungrabbable. This is the difference between survivors and victims. Victims live by fairness. Survivors live by patterns. Victims wait until disrespect becomes obvious. Survivors shut it down at the first signal. Victims explain their intentions and hope to be understood. Survivors protect their position and let people adjust. Victims think being liked is safety. Survivors know safety comes from consequence. From this point forward, ignorance is no longer an excuse, because the moment you notice the test, you have a choice. You can keep performing goodness like a costume, and keep acting surprised when predators recognize it, or you can become the person who doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to convince, doesn't need to chase respect, because your presence already changes the math, and this next part separates the weak from the powerful. You must accept that some people will call you cold when you stop being usable. They will call you arrogant when you stop explaining. They will call you different when you stop reacting on command. Let them. That's not a loss. That's evidence your old version is dying. If this made you uncomfortable -goodbye, it means you're waking up. If you're still here, you're not watching for entertainment. You're watching because something in you is tired of being controlled by politeness. So here's the challenge. And don't dodge it for the next 7 days. Break one pattern that makes you predictable. Delay one response. Say one clean no. Hold one silence longer than feels comfortable. Correct one disrespect calmly, early, without emotion. Then watch who changes around you. Because when you stop being easy to read, people either respect you, or they reveal themselves, and that's the real power.